Hey, want to come on a walk and check out the Canon 7D Mark II? Today, we're going to be going to Niwa Park in Oneonta, New York.
Always wants just like you know. I always wants just like you. Always wants just like you.
This one's kind of far, so we're going to skateboard to this one.
Let's go.
Hey guys, I'm taking a break from skateboarding here for a second because I want to talk to you guys about the lens I have on here. It's a 100 to 400 millimeter lens, and it's a 4.5 to 5.6 aperture, variable aperture. And so that means at 100 I can get 4.5 aperture, and at 400 I can get 5.6 aperture. And this weekend I actually got the opportunity to shoot T-Pain at SUNY Oneonta's O-Fest, and I used this camera setup that I've got here, and this lens is phenomenal. I was able to stand in the track above the concert and get up close pictures, and so I'll throw some of those on the screen now so you guys can see what it looks like. But this lens is partly what makes this camera setup just so amazing. Alright, so we've made it here to Niwa Park, and we're going to take some pictures so you guys can see what the camera's like.
Just like you.
Let's go.
Alright, now that we actually got some pictures, let's sit down and let's talk about the Canon 7D Mark II. The first thing I want to talk about is the year this camera was released. It was actually released in 2014, so this is a pretty old camera. But with that said, that means the price point on this camera is super affordable. This is considered a professional grade DSLR, and you can pick up this camera used for about $500 to $800 depending on condition. Now quickly, let's talk about specs. This is a DSLR, it's not mirrorless like the Sony a7 IV we reviewed in the last video. So it has a physical mirror in it, it can't do quite all the things a mirrorless can, but I shot with a DSLR for the first 3 years of my photography, and there's nothing wrong with the DSLR. A lot of manufacturers are they're kicking them to the curb and they're all moving mirrorless, but a good DSLR can do anything a good mirrorless can. This camera specifically is a 20.2 megapixel, and it is a crop sensor. I prefer full frame. I shot on a crop sensor for my first 3 years, and that was a 33 megapixel, and it can take amazing photos. A crop sensor isn't the end of the world, but I really like full frame. Like I said earlier, I got to experience this camera firsthand by shooting T-Pain at O-Fest, and so I really kind of pushed this camera to its limits. A concert venue is really dark, and it's a really fast-paced environment, so you need that high shutter speed, but a lot of times you can't get it because it's so dark. So I was really pushing this camera, and I think it did really great. I'm going to throw up some more pictures here from the event. I think they all came out pretty great. I shot on both this and the Sony a7 IV. The Sony a7 IV, I don't have a zoom lens like this, So I brought both cameras with me so that I could get some up-close shots with the Canon, and then I could get some more far-away crowd shots kind of with the Sony. The Canon didn't let me down. It's a great camera. One thing I'd like to note is that the user interface is very confusing coming from Nikon and Sony. I think both of their interfaces were better. I had a really hard time finding specific things that I needed in the menu. Thankfully I played with it beforehand. Obviously I didn't wait till I was at the concert to figure this all out. So I kind of got a feel for it. And I was shooting with another photographer that shoots all Canon, so they were able to show me some things. So it went fine, but I wish the interface was a lot user-friendly. But again, this is from 2014, so since then I know Canon has gotten a lot better and their user faces have gotten a lot more user-friendly, so I'm not really holding that against the Canon. I will say the autofocus on this camera is great. Canon's known for great autofocuses, but when I was shooting at the concert, I was kind of having a hard time getting the camera to be super sharp. And sometimes at moments when I really needed it to autofocus, it just would not autofocus because it was too dark. Obviously you could remedy that by switching it to manual focus, but no one wants to do that. No one wants to have to sit here and spin the lens while you're trying to track a subject. And so if you're doing specifically concert photography, maybe go with something newer, maybe go with a mirrorless. They're great in low light. They're known to be great in low light. So just keep that in mind if you're looking at the Canon. But overall, this is really a great camera. This is a great starter camera. If you buy it used, you can, like I said, you can get it for $500. This lens is not $500. It's a very expensive lens, but a lot of times you can find it with the 28 to 135, and that's still a great lens. That's still going to get you some great photos. I would recommend going out and get a fixed lens, like maybe an 85mm, 50mm, and I think you could do some really great things with this camera. It is a professional grade camera, and you're going to be able to get the photos you want. And so I think even now in 2023, a camera from 2014, this Canon 7D Mark II can stand the test of time. If you guys like this review of the Canon 7D Mark II, hit subscribe, follow along for more walks, more talks. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.